Joe, in today's investment climate, how can we eliminate or at least minimize the risk out there?
Minimizing it is very difficult. What you can do is change it or adapt it or take the risk you want to take instead of the risk you're given. Essentially, insurance is a transfer of risk, isn't it? If you don't buy insurance, it doesn't eliminate the problem. It simply transfers the risk to you. So when you buy insurance, you're transferring that risk to an insurance company. That's essentially the transfer of risk. When you're making investments, you can decide if you're going to be buying equities or you're going to be buying bonds, for example. And bonds are often held out as guarantees because in 20 years you get that amount of money, whatever the guarantee is. But bonds are in effect more volatile than equities because they're subject to interest rates.
What I have been teaching advisors to do, and what I found effective myself, is that we need to group the problem. So first of all, we need to say something to the client like, 75% of people feel that repaying debt is a top priority. Okay, I'm not alone, I'm not a weirdo, great. Or maybe we need to say something like what we started with, 44% of people are retiring in debt. Then we need to give people a statement that relieves the blame. Because if we examine the evidence from the day somebody is born in this country to the day they die, if somebody could point out where they should know what they need to know about credit and debt, I would like to see it. Because most of us just aren't getting the information that we would need to do better. So we need to relieve that blame by saying something along the lines of, most people feel like they earn a good living, but they feel like they're not keeping enough of it. And that is not a judging statement.
But the defined contribution plan, on the other end, as you mentioned, has become much more popular over the years because the investment risk, is no longer the burden of the employer. It's essentially then shifted over to the employee. The stock market performance means that those are also, in a sense, underfunded, although they may not be showing the same kind of deficit positions that a defined benefit plan would be, just because of the way the calculations are made. What it will mean is people will have to adjust their lifestyle and objectives because they'll be facing a lower pool of assets with which to fund their retirement years.
I've learned in the last 3 or 4 years that we have to make much longer contingency plans than we did before. They have less underwriters, it takes longer to get a case going through. So where you used to have a float for 2 or 3 months, you now have to have a float for a good 4 or 5 months. And therefore you've got to be able to look at your finances in a very different way. So you can look at finances by either cutting expenses or adding revenues, adding clients, or in the volatile market that we're in today, I think there are great opportunities out there.